I'd like to call to order the Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Wednesday, February 14th at 7:05 PM. The first case, case number 2017-12, the applicant requested an extension, continuance, of the meeting until March 14th. They signed the continuance, and they also granted us 30-day continuance to make the decision. So the decision was moved to... actually to 3/31. So I guess we probably need to, a motion to accept their request for continuance.
I'll move that we accept the request for continuance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Holland, seconded by Mr. Fitzpatrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next case is case number 2018-02, a public hearing for Hagsma Realty Trust, 64 Depot Street. The case was advertised in the Telegram and Gazette and also posted in the Town Hall, and it read as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7:05 PM on Wednesday, February 14th in the Douglas Municipal Center, Community Meeting Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass., to hear the following application. Hagsma Realty Trust is requesting a variance in a village residential VR zone district pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws, section 4.1, appendix B, to vary the required 50-foot front yard setback to allow a 35-foot front yard setback to construct a single-family dwelling on property located at 64 Depot Street, map 169, parcel 44. I was told by Maria that all of the certified mail green cards have been received, and I don't have it in writing, but I was told by the town engineer that the planning board had made a favorable recommendation on this application. And lastly, the voting members on this case will be Mr. Holland, myself, Mrs. Holmes, Mr. Demers, and Mr. Fitzpatrick. Okay, the applicant?
I'm Les Stevens, parent on behalf of Jim Hagsma, who's the trustee for the Realty Trust, Hagsma Realty Trust. I brought a larger scale plan. I know there's a small scale in your packet here. What I've highlighted is just a 50-foot buffer, which conservation has a no-build area. Initially, we had plans to put it in without seeking a variance, but because of the 50-foot buffer not being allowed to build in there, caused the concern and issue with without seeking the variance to move the house forward. I also have a number of properties. I got one copy of this. I didn't have a chance to make copies, but basically about 15-20 copies that are within 1,500 square feet on Depot Street and the adjacent street that are all fits in with the neighborhood. A lot of these properties that are in the neighborhood are actually less than the 35 feet that we're seeking, or the 15-foot variance. If you want to pass that around and share that. Just for due to the soil conditions, as well as the configuration of the lot, as well as the restriction with the wetlands and the topography, we're seeking the variance.
Question?
Go ahead, Mike.
On the ones on Depot Street, Les, are they directly, are these houses here?
Yep.
Directly
Yeah.
above, so
Yeah.
it's hard to tell on this one.
Sorry for the,
I
yeah.
know.
A lot of the houses are within that radius. So I pulled the radius from basically Rydell, the corner of Rydell and Franklin, down through here by Bob Josie's house.
But these immediate ones are all,
Yeah, they're on
that list.
They're on the list.
Yep.
So I try to give a sample of what fits in with the neighborhood. It's a low traffic neighborhood area because it's really just passes up through a dead end street, which ties into the back of Brookside. So
part of your reason for moving
Yep.
it forward is to allow for the deck as well.
The deck as well, you know, we shaved 4 feet off the house and another 2 feet off the back. And then the deck, I talked to Larry about that, and he's like, that's buildable area, so I'm like, so that pushes everything forward. You know,
Weren't you when they came back too much further anyways?
yeah, there's just not a lot. It's got town water, town sewer, you know, and we're seeking the variance. There was other structures that were on the adjacent properties as well as the budding neighborhood that are closer to the street. You know, if we could do something differently, I did talk to conservation, and that's their hard line is no touch. So that's why we're here.
Is that a regulation or a guideline?
That is a policy.
You know, you need to be recognized before you speak, sir.
Sorry, Brian Hill.
Okay?
I'm just curious about the conservation regulation, if it's a guideline or a policy or a law,
I
bylaw.
believe it's a town bylaw.
I believe it's their conservation regs.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a bylaw related to like town bylaw, but it's in the conservation's regs. So the majority of the conservation board would have to waive it, so. The structure that we're looking, it's a roughly a 1,300 square foot house. So nothing, you know, beyond that.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm sorry, what is that list off?
So that's a list of the surrounding within 1,500 feet. I did about 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, you know, a radius of all the properties, so all the abutting,
Existing setbacks.
existing setbacks in the neighborhood.
Where would you get that?
So on the town mapping site, you'd be able to map it from where the existing structure where it's shown on the mapping and then to the front setback. It's an approximate, but it's pretty accurate with the town's mapping sites.
The
It'd be
GSI.
GIS.
GIS,
Yeah. Yep. But, you know, I wanted to show what the neighborhood is and what the, you know, and again, it's a very slow traffic area.
Mr. Chairman, just comment.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we did something like this pretty recently because of the wetlands. I didn't bring my older files, like the past several months. Because of wetlands, we granted a variance to keep that 50-foot distance from the wetlands. But I don't remember which case that was.
Yeah, I don't recall myself. It's kind of a tough predicament here because we're trying to maintain zoning and do our job, and obviously conservation trying to do theirs.
Yeah.
Well, this is in village residential, is it not?
It is.
Yes, it is.
So the smaller lots,
Yeah, you know, it's 20,000 square foot lot. It's got town water, town sewer. You know, I looked at different avenues, you know, to figure out what can fit, configuration, things like that. Again, shrinking down the footprint, cutting off. But, you know, I mean, because of the wetland, you know, restriction and the buffer zone on that, you know, and so you've got the soil conditions, you get the configuration of the lot. And then, you know,
wetlands.
the wetlands as well as, you know, establishing in a neighborhood. You know, this is why I would be seeking.
And I read this a while ago, I apologize. Did this not have trailers on it at one time?
Oh, yeah, it had, previous mobile.
How long ago were the trailers there?
They were there the last summer.
Okay. So that actually moves the town forward in one of the zoning areas that we're looking to improve.
It's an improvement. They are small lots, 21,000 square
Yeah.
feet, which
That's the way it is, yep.
in a 20,000 square foot district.
Yep.
And your driveway is going out to Depot Street?
Straight out the depot, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And there's some existing trees and there's some existing plantings that are there in the front, which, you know, we'll look at the sight line as well as, you know, to maintain those, making sure that the sight line's all is preserved. So,
Anybody else have any questions? The applicant? Is there anybody in the room that has any questions or comments about this application? Do you have anything else that you want to say?
no, I think that's mainly it. I think I presented all three, you know, incidents, that, you know, conforming to the neighborhood, then the restrictions related to the lot as well. So, that's all I have.
Thank you.
The board want to close the public hearing, or do you?
Sure. Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Demers, seconded by Mrs. Holmes, to close the public hearing for case number 2018. 2018-02. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Public hearing is closed. Would like to move forward with the decision tonight, or?
I would make a motion to grant variance for 2018-02 because of the applicant's due diligence with respect to bylaws conservation and the information that he presented tonight.
I'll second.
Okay, we'd like to make it, the plot plan part of the decision as well.
Oh, map 169.
Well, actually, it's,
Let the map move. It's the map, the parcel.
Here's the,
okay. Maybe we just address it one by who drew it and what the date is on it.
Okay. Okay, so I make a motion to grant the applicant's variance for due diligence with respect to bylaws conservation and to be built according to map 169 parcel 44. Dated January 11, 2018 by Byron J. Andrews.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Demers to approve the variance as requested. We have a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Holland. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You get the decision drafted, signed, and then get it submitted to the town clerk as soon as it's...
Yeah, that's on the record. Yeah, I appreciate your time, thank you. Thank you.
The next agenda item is continued public hearing for Robert Parent and Carol Dolan for a special permit. They actually requested a continuance, but the board does, on a special permit, only has to make the decision 90 days after the public hearing is closed. So they didn't grant us any more time if they didn't need to. And they're looking to get it continued to our March 14th meeting.
so the original date is November.
Right. Yeah. There were a couple issues, we didn't have a quorum one night, and, I believe, that's where we were.
We are where we are.
Correct. So,
Need a motion on that?
Yeah, to grant the continuance, or,
I'll move that we continue the hearing to March 14th.
Second.
okay, that's for case number 2017-11. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Holland, second by Mrs. Holmes. All in favor to grant the continuance? Aye. Opposed? Continuance is granted. The next agenda item was advertised for 7:30 public hearing. So maybe we could go over the minutes of December 13th meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, drafted minutes of Wednesday, December 13th, 2017,
Okay,
as is.
okay. Second on that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Demers, seconded by Mr. Fitzpatrick to approve the minutes, December minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have about six minutes till what time's the meeting, the hearing was advertised, so.
Continue reading the case.
So, Mr. Chairman, didn't we say in the past that we were gonna set this up so we wouldn't have to wait by time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Trying to keep
No, we actually agreed that's what we would do.
Yeah.
card I was supposed to wear.
How did this one get
I've never seen those.
pushed way out? Maybe because there were two cases that have been,
Well, actually, I think, yeah, we did wanna get them tighter, and
Didn't break right there.
I guess I had the first three. It's unusual to have two in one night
right.
ahead of it, but I will talk to Maria about it and make sure that
Yeah.
they're not more than 10 minutes apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
It's hard, once you set your brain to 15, she's just going 15, 15, 15.
Right, but,
Although not really, she's got 7:05, then 7:15,
I
then
know.
7:30.
yeah.
Lost her head.
So I haven't given up on the old team, Lynn.
If someone figures out the answer about Malcolm Butler, I'd like to hear.
Supposedly, it was pot and women.
That's what I heard. Well, that's what was written, but he denies
That's
it.
the only thing that's written, yeah.
Well, one of the star players, he didn't let him play in the Super
Yeah,
Bowl,
sounded out.
so,
Cooled as tush
yeah,
on the
so,
bench.
had to be a good reason. He wants to
about
win as much
Butler?
as anybody.
I talked to someone who works in the equipment locker, and he said that he missed 2 buses and he missed an airplane departure that week prior.
Oh,
Because he
that'll
was
do
sick,
it.
he had flu.
Full of excuses.
Who's that guy that ran?
Pretty
for like-
hardcore intervention though.
Some guy that ran for like 250 yards one week, and then he was like 5 minutes late.
X Factor.
Couldn't keep up with
benched.
them, and
Well,
they had
considering he
field
won us the
board.
Super Bowl 2 years ago. Yeah.
Do you think he's retiring?
Belichick?
Yeah.
No.
No way.
Why retire?
Another year or two.
Just having
To
too much
retire after
fun.
you.
He is what he is. He's the
You're not
coach.
retiring either.
He's not retiring.
Nobody's leaving.
No way.
Hey, he runs a tight ship,
He does.
but the problem is that, what do you do?
He's gonna keep a gray hoodie and one emotion on his face, and he's just gonna move forward, right? Do your job.
He runs a tight ship.
It
Yeah.
really does. Apparently, it's, everybody's treated equally, which is unusual in this day and
Yeah,
age.
he doesn't care. Oh, don't forget, his father was coach at
Annapolis.
Annapolis.
His daughter's a
Yeah,
coach.
military.
His daughter's a coach at Holy Cross.
Yeah, but he was brought up under a military situation.
Regimen.
You know what his first paid job was in the NFL? His first paid job?
No.
Inflating balls.
Deflating them?
Drive to the airport, pick up the film, bring it to the coaches. That was his first paid job.
That's cute.
Is that right?
It's a good little, you can go to the library and get the education of a coach. It's his story, 3 discs.
Yeah.
Listen to it in a couple hours. Very interesting. Education of a coach.
He just was, he couldn't do nothing with the Browns, though.
Yeah.
See, they didn't give him the team. They wanted to manage it, they said, you're the coach, we'll tell you what to do. You can't run like that.
Yeah. Haven't heard from the big tuna in a few years.
Oh,
Surprise.
Bledsoe was there, though.
yep.
Yes.
Bledsoe was there.
Yep.
You see this past Saturday on Google, if you typed in Patriots owner, did you hear about that?
No.
Who came up? Trump?
Nick Foles.
Oh,
Yeah, yes, I did.
oh,
I saw
jeez.
that.
Actually, the last couple flights I had into Providence, he parked the Patriots plane right next to Southwest. Down there, and, I mean, it's right there, all painted up nice, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got a lot of, a lot of cash in that game, a lot of money, a lot of money.
yes.
They almost blew it all by kneeling. What a mess they What a mess they had going, right?
Yeah.
They going nothing. Why would
What,
they-
weren't you trying to get them to go to your property there off 16?
Yeah, they're trying, well, they're they're still involved there.
Okay.
They're trying to make some kind of, I don't know, crazy training center or something.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still involved, I don't wait for nothing until someone sends me a check.
Right.
It's very funny like that, In God we trust, everyone else pays cash.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? It's, you gotta pay a check,
Yeah.
But hey, what are you gonna do? Some people hate to part with that, they get all kinds of plans and everything. I'll tell you, the guy who has the plan, he's involved with those guys. Oh, shit. You gotta know him. He's a big soccer ball man.
No, I'm not into soccer.
No, but I mean, he's a big name.
Yeah.
He had him down there for a luncheon and stuff like that and everything else, everything catered, And I guess they're interested. I mean, I didn't, like I said, give me the check. Give me something, right?
Mhm.
Give me something. Don't talk about it.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah, well, no, it's not even that. You talk. How many?
Right.
I mean, there's only, there's only 26 letters in the alphabet. How much talking can you do? No one likes to talk more than me, but, after a while, you gotta pay. People hate to pay. Not that they hate it, they're afraid because, will everybody uphold their part of the deal, That's the big thing, right? They gotta have a lot of cash, though. Gotta make a lot of money, right?
Look what he's
Think
just,
of the beer concession.
Oh.
But just look at the income from immediately around the stadium, parking lots.
Just the parking. I figured it out. I forget how much it was. $100,000 per event
Oh, I bet it's way more than that.
or more. Yeah,
How
it's
much?
just 100 grand.
Oh,
or
it's
more.
gonna be, it's like $50 a
Free parking
car.
lot.
Yeah.
$50 a car, 60,000 people. Even if there was 4 in a car, that's 15,000 times $50, whatever that is.
I think they got a big game going there, that thing going. And he did it right. He got a class act, you know,
Oh, yeah.
got it right.
No, they got a good organization.
Yeah, good organization, I mean, they after all, right?
Okay, hit the 7:30 mark. The next agenda item is case number 2018-01, public hearing for Twin River Realty Trust, 58 Chestnut Street. The case was advertised in Telegram and Gazette and posted at Town Hall and read as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7:30 on Wednesday, February 14th, to hear the following application. Twin River Realty Trust is requesting a variance in a rural agricultural zone,
I didn't get it.
RA zone district pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws, section 4.1.3, table of dimensional requirements, appendix B, dimensional regulations to vary the required 25-foot side yard setback to allow a 10-foot side yard setback on property located at 58 Chestnut Street, map 272, parcel 6. The planning board sent a request saying that they were not in favor of this application. I spoke with Maria today, and she said the certified mail and the green cards were all received.
Is there a reason why the planning board was not in favor? Do you recall, or do we have
The town engineer actually told me that, and he was at the meeting, but Maria usually has them sign something, and
Okay, we don't have it.
she wasn't available. So,
All right,
You the applicant?
I'm Brian Hill. I'm a professional land surveyor with land planning. I'm here to represent Twin River Realty Trust.
okay,
So this is a difficult lot. This is a lot that was created in 1978, signed by the planning board, before the Wetlands Protection Act, before the Rivers Act. And those regulations have really made this property almost unbuildable. We have found a portion of upland in the northeast corner of the property. You can see on the locust map, you can't see the other, you can see the other lot line here, but you can't see the back half of the lot. 75% of the lot is unbuildable. The only place buildable is this upland over here. It's subject to the Rivers Act, it's subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. We've been through conservation, we were able to meet every one of their regulations except for one regulation, which is the 50-foot structure to wetland. 50-foot structure to wetland would be this orange line, and the zoning setback line is right here. So that would only leave a small triangle that you couldn't fit a house in. So they've asked us to come to you for a side yard setback variance in order to meet their 50-foot wetland setback regulation. And the solution would be to reduce the size of the house and leave a 10-foot setback, which would then meet the 50-foot line, which just misses the corner here and here. Grandfathered lots are a tough one, you know, I mean, this owner has a lot that's buildable lot, it becomes not a buildable lot. You know, what do you do with that? We're trying to meet every regulation possible and utilize the one portion of the lot that's buildable. I don't know what to tell you. If your planning board said they don't like it, it's kind of what's more important, conservation regulation, zoning regulation.
it depends which board you're on.
The town of Douglas.
Well, if the lot's not buildable, I mean, then that means that the land has been taken in full, which puts another burden possibly on the town as well. If all use of the building lot has been taken, then that possibly could become something that would have to be taken by eminent domain. I don't know how well, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not gonna tell you about the Fifth Amendment, but
Any members have any question of the applicant's representative? I understand the predicament, but 10 feet is not very much in an RA zone.
I know.
and it reduces the size of the house to something that you could barely put 2 bedrooms in. So I honestly am
What
not
is the size
for
of
it.
the house then?
So currently it's 36 by 40 with a 24 garage. And with the 10-foot setback, it would have to be reduced to 28-24 with a 22-16 garage. So really, really reduces the living space and the setback as well.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What's the actual size of the proposed house?
Well, the proposed house on the original conservation filing is 2636 with a 24 garage. So 2636, 24 garage. But now with the ZBA, if we do get the side yard setback, we can reduce it to 2428 with the 1622 garage. So it's a huge reduction in the size of the footprint and the size of the side yard setback in order to meet the 50-foot wetland regulation.
That's, I mean. the
So
size
it's
of the house
it's
is a two-car
doable.
Garage.
But,
The size of the house is is the size of a garage.
yeah, the final house would be a little bit bigger than a two-car garage, yeah. In fact, there probably would be no garage at all.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman, I have not had an opportunity to visit the site, to do a site visit.
What's it, 4 acre lot, 5 acre lot?
Yeah, the square footage of the lot somewhere.
Does anyone
Just-
want
just over
pictures?
2 acres.
2-acre lot.
Some photos.
Yeah, so it's a very large lot, but unfortunately, there's only a small area to build in. You know, we're confident that the original design works and meets every single regulation except for the 50-foot structure setback. So we have gone to the minimum of it, and in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think you could reasonably build a smaller 3-bedroom home.
It's 2 stories?
Two-story, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could have a nice house over here. I don't think a garage is feasible with the smaller square footage house. I think if you did the garage, it would eat up most of the first floor. It's doable either way. It really is.
I mean, you appear to have the garage integral to the structure. One could consider making a secondary structure of a garage.
There's no space
There's
for
no
that.
space.
No, this orange line is the 50-foot, that's the 50-foot wetland regulation, and this is the zoning setback line right here. So it just leaves this little triangle of space
Well,
to
so we're
build
talking
in.
a little triangle,
Mm-hmm.
a little triangle garage.
That would be the entire residence.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there's not a second
Use this for a minute.
optional area. So this is
This is
with
what he
that's
proposed.
with the setback variance.
Yeah, it is.
Here's a look at this other plan, Dan.
This is not the house.
No, this is what he's proposing.
Yeah, conservation put us through the ringer. We had to do a flood analysis study here to show that it wasn't in the floodplain, because it's one of these floodplains that is not a defined base flood elevation. So we had to do cross-sectional surveys of the river and calculate the flow going to it in order to show it's not in the floodplain. So we've shown it's not in the floodplain. We've showed it's not within the 20-foot no build zone. We've left a 20-foot buffer to any wetlands. So, I mean, we're confident with our design. We like our design, but they would like to reduce the setback and push it further from the wetland.
Any members have any questions?
I apologize. The larger map is not the proposed building that you're looking to presently construct. It's the smaller
The
map
smaller map, yes,
is what you're
shows,
looking to propose. to
that's
construct.
with a variance request, if we get it. That would get us out of the 50-foot wetland area.
I apologize, I guess I don't understand. Are you looking to, does this map describe what you're looking to get the variance
No,
for?
no,
This does?
that does.
Okay.
Yep, that does. I thought that we had a plot plan with that submitted as well.
So, that's the map, that's the one.
I personally really struggle with 10 feet in an RA zone.
You know, whatever you could give a waiver though, would allow us to move further from the wetland and then meet with conservation again. We have to go back to conservation again after we find out what you're willing to accept. So, I mean, we don't have to do 10 feet, maybe we can meet the conservation somewhere in the middle. It's possible. But as far as we can get from the wetland, the better, I guess it is to get through Conservation Commission.
Yeah, and regulations that are really statewide, I think.
No, this is a town regulation. 50-foot no structures is a town regulation. This is actually, this should have been submitted with this is the actual variance request plot plan. And you can see how the 50-foot, see the 50-foot to wetland line? 50-foot to wetland line. So that's really what we're looking to do with this variance.
It has this correct size.
But we could use whatever you're willing to grant for a side yard setback, we could use that for our final design with conservation, if you are willing to grant a side yard variance. I know you probably don't want to set a precedent. I feel like conservation doesn't quite understand the precedents and, but it is a grandfathered lot, so it's not really a precedent for a new construction. It's a precedent for a grandfathered lot.
Is there a structure on the adjoining wall?
There is, yeah, and you can see on here, I've done my best to trace the footprint and the yard of the adjacent structure. I know they would be the most impacted by a side yard setback, so.
Is this lot just recently acquired?
I think he's been on this for a little while. I think this is the last 3 lots that just never got built because of the, I'm not sure when he acquired this actually.
There's a deed in here that says, I think 2013?
2013,
Does that sound right?
it's possible.
It's not a long time
No?
in the scheme of things. It certainly is after everybody knew about zoning and conservation.
That
and
50-foot no bill's
setbacks
been in effect before
Long time.
2013.
Yeah,
Surprised they didn't do their due diligence before
Buyer
they
beware.
made that investment.
right?
Well, he bought it, but he already built on 2 of the lots, right?
No, there's these 3 lots he owns, the other 3 lots to the right, none of them are built, they're all vacant. There was other land across the street that might have been attached to this. Because this original subdivision in 78 was these 4 lots on the south side of the road and the other, like, 10 or 15 lots on the north side of the road. That was the original ownership. So the owner to the east was not part of the
Old
original
farmer
subdivision.
from Douglas, Mail. Have you heard that name, Mail, M-A-E-L? Farmer. I think with Newt Dickey Downs and the whole
Right.
clan.
Does not own the abutting lot.
To the east, that was never part of the title.
Has any attempt been made to buy 15 feet from that abutter?
No. Well, then he wouldn't have a grandfathered lot and he'd be in the 100-foot riverfront and he wouldn't be able to build anyway. The area that we're building is not typically approved by conservation for new construction, only because it's a grandfathered lot. Because he's in the inner 100-foot of the riverfront. which I think is why they really want to keep the 50, if possible, because this is a much more environmentally sensitive area.
I still personally struggle with 10-foot side.
I'd like to do a little bit more research on the area and look at the property, because I have not looked at it. Just personally, that's me.
I have a few pictures just so you can get a feel for what it looks like.
Well, you need to be recognized and state your name before
I'm
you...
sorry, I'm Michelle Markey. I live across the street from this
Oh,
property.
okay, all right, thank you.
Apologize.
Yeah, if you want to bring those up?
But yeah, I wasn't sure who was familiar with the property. It does get very wet over there. So I had happened, these are actually from yesterday. Those are just a few shots, but the river goes right through and across, basically.
Yeah, that's right, that's the lot.
It's a good time to flag wetlands. They're all
Tinkerbell
frost ponds right now.
My front yard is a express pond
Oh,
also.
don't say that to conservation. They'll tell you to go flag it.
Dan, question?
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
You said you went to conservation, they said to come to zoning
Yes.
and see what we would give you for a setback?
They asked us to continue and see what you would do for a side yard setback, yes. So the hardship of the lot is their 50-foot, no build zone, no structure
Where is this in relationship to what we're building?
I'm assuming these are from the road, so this is probably this bend to the left and then back to the right, and then back to the left. So this,
Yeah.
so they must be standing right about here. Yep, they'd be right about here. Yep, see that bend to the left and then back to the right and then back to the left.
Oh, that is a
That's riverfront zone, that's riparian, it runs
Hopefully
year
it's slab
round.
on grade.
I know, I was just thinking the same thing.
Actually-
I'm just looking at it, I'm
Actually-
494, 490,
Look at the
488.
slab, slab's 488 and 488 contours up here. So the river's down 4 feet below the slab. We did a 100-year analysis. I can't remember what number that came up to. I think it came up to 486. It was a 100-year flood zone, and we're proposing.
Where does this stream start?
Tinkerville Brook.
Yeah, it's north. It's certainly north. Comes in from the north.
Coming in from,
Comes down right alongside my property. I'm at 55, so it comes right down along my property, across the street, and then it kind of curves over right across the front of that property you're referring
Does
to.
it come from Wallem Lake at all?
You know, I
No, Wallem Lake
honestly
goes
don't
to
know.
Clear River.
It's
down.
it's this swamp right
I don't
here.
know.
This swamp right here. Even south across. I don't know what this neighborhood is.
Getting involved in this.
it comes across the street, right?
It crosses the street, yeah, from my side to the side that we're talking about here. And it actually crosses over to the lot next to that property, and then it cuts across. It basically goes across the property you're referring to now. And I'm not sure the exact layout, but it sounds like there's one little corner.
The wetland line on the east side of the river is the top of the bank of the river. So there's no bordering adjacent vegetated wetlands to the river. The top of bank is the wetland line. So the 50-foot that they'd like to hold for no structures is also top of bank of river. So in this case, this is one of those more sensitive wetland areas. So, you know, I think that they have a good valid point in conservation. I could see you going either way with it, and I don't know if it would really affect the project either way.
Anybody have any other questions or comments?
I would like to see conservation ease up on that 50-foot setback. Pushing us 10 feet to the property line's a little tight.
I agree, I mean, I don't know, we start giving 10-foot sideline variances in an RA zone. I mean, what's that?
Weird.
But I mean, it would only be a grandfathered lot that would be, so I mean, it's not a townwide precedent.
But we still gotta look the person in the eye that applies, and they say, you gave that person a 10-foot sideline.
Well, they had a grandfathered lot with a river
Everyone's
frontage.
grandfathered, you want to be sitting here.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Any other comments on this?
Maybe this lady has a comment on the whole. Did you just want to bring the pictures?
Was there anything else that you wanted to state on this application, ma'am? Being in Nevada?
I guess I just don't see it. Basically, from how much water's over there, and I guess I was a little concerned with how the building impacts that water. You know, how does it affect, I know that it looked like on the flood zone map, there's the flood zone's a little ways behind it. Does that impact that anyways? And I guess this sounds like it's probably more a conservation-oriented question. You know, I didn't realize there was a meeting with the Conservation Committee on it.
And there will be another one as well.
Okay, now will the butters be notified of that meeting?
They should be, yeah, they should be. 300
Yeah.
foot, you should have gotten that. Yeah, you should have gotten that.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, I saw this one.
saw this one, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, I have to say, I'm personally not comfortable with the 10-foot. If you'd like, we could continue it and give you the opportunity
I
to,
mean, I would, whatever you can give for a leniency on the side yard setback, if you want to pick a number that you are comfortable with, that would be okay, or to deny it. And one way or the other, at least we'll know where to go with conservation.
so if it's denied, you know, you can't come back for 2 years.
Right, but then conservation has to approve or buy, is my understanding. Conservation would have to approve or buy this lot,
Oh, I don't know if that's the case.
right?
Yeah, that's the law.
Right? I mean, if they say R50 rules, then your land is gone. And it's a grandfathered lot, so I think they would have to approve or buy. I mean, I don't know. I think they would appreciate maybe some leniency if you could give any leniency, 5 feet, 10 feet. What is this side? It's fairly large, isn't it? 25? 25. Grafton's 15 everywhere, just to give an idea. So, I mean, 25 is fairly large, but you have 2-acre lots, so I mean, it makes sense 25, but in this situation, maybe not so much. For fire protection, 15 is more than adequate.
should we solicit some information from conservation or input?
Yeah, we could also,
It just seems odd that if they're looking for our input, they never even sent
Yeah.
anything to us.
I wonder if we could have the chair meet with the chair and see if we can figure out what they need or where the board is going. Or where the board, I mean, and obviously everything is determined by the board, you know, by a vote, but at least see whether there's any leniency there at all.
yeah, because Rep said something to the effect that the town would have to buy it. I guess we could probably inquire with
Town council.
town council about that.
That's a certainty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd probably have to prove, you know, that there's no alternative, that the land has been,
Yeah, that's what you.
there would be due diligence on behalf of the client to prove that. Right?
Need a motion to continue?
We have until March 28th. We have some time.
Well, the application was done in December, and this is February, so we're already 2 months behind so maybe we need you know, an okay to move it up, move
Oh,
everything up.
absolutely, yep. Do we want to give them, if they go back to conservation, give them some indication of what may be acceptable,
Yeah.
if 10's not?
Yeah, 10 is a little bit crazy.
If anybody's... He's asking for 10, and the requirement's 25, if we met him halfway? I don't know, I'm just throwing that out, I'm not saying that's... I mean, if they were,
I don't think conservation has a choice. I think that they would like to see less, you know, and if they can see less, they would like that.
less
But-
than the 25.
Well, less than whatever it is now, yeah, because right now, you know, they are in that 50, they don't want that 50, they just can't get it. And I think that whatever you can do will help, but I don't think they have much of a choice. I think if you don't give them a side yard setback, then they're gonna have to approve it as is. That's my feeling on it, but, you know, again, like you said, it might be a town council question.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, I think we need to speak to council about it, but I don't know if anybody thinks that's a good or a bad idea to give an idea of what may be acceptable, and then, are you meeting with conservation again?
Well, I don't know if we should continue our next conservation meeting if
Right.
this meeting gets continued.
Right. The purpose of your next meeting with conservation was to,
finalize. So after hearing from you, if you grant a variance or not, we would redesign accordingly and then go for final approval from them. So if you said 15, we would put everything at 15 and we'd say this is the best we can do, and now will you grant us that waiver on the 50-foot, no structures? And they'll grant that waiver up to that point.
But can we grant a variance without
Final plans?
final plans? It seems to me it has to work the other way around.
And it has been a issue several times, particularly on some of those lake lots that, which I guess this qualifies as a lake lot.
it
too, right?
does.
Rear setback on the lake on the back.
I know 10's not gonna work with me personally, but
I don't think any of us really.
If I could, when was the meeting with conservation?
I might have that.
And when is the next one?
I've got a big folder.
Kind of like to watch that, to see what exactly transpired
Interesting.
as part of this hearing. So
Here's the 100-year flood analysis, if you were curious.
That might be helpful. Good thought. Good thought.
Regulations.
it was a very good idea.
Should have a copy. of
When
the
were you at the
Deserved.
Conservation Commission meeting?
So tests, I'm trying to get you that date. (9/25/17). This is regarding our initial submission. Our NOI, this is regarding our NOI, was in 9/25/17. I don't know if I can tell you the date of the meeting.
So you were in front of them as far back as September or October?
Yeah, this is the certified mailing for the conservation, 907.
We can do a search on it. Twin River.
Certified mailing went out 907. The legal notice was September 18th. So the meeting must have been right after that.
Yeah, late September.
And you've only been to one meeting?
I think we had a continuation. I believe we went to 2. I wasn't there for that.
the board like to just continue it so we can do some more due
Figure
diligence?
things out.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue case number 2018-01, requesting council to be here for that meeting.
Okay, and then, okay. Right, and then that'll be continued to our March 14th
March
meeting.
14th meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Demers to continue case number 2018-01, Twin River Realty, to March 14th at, let's say, 7:30.
Do you want to do it that late? Yeah, I'll second it.
I know for a fact there's two brand new ones next month,
good.
plus we have the two that continued,
these,
so
yeah.
it'd be like the fifth
Good.
hearing of that night at 7:30. Okay, do we have a second on Mr.?
I second it.
Oh, seconded by Mrs. Holmes. All in favor? Aye. The meeting will be continued to March 14th at 7:30. Okay.
Do you think that we should continue our conservation meeting until that happens?
Well, I mean, that's your call, but I mean, obviously, nobody's comfortable voting on the 10-foot. You may want to go back there and see what you can negotiate with them, too.
I feel like they're just gonna say, wait for wait
Oh,
for
you
the
just saw, you saw
ZBA.
them in September and this
They,
is...
yeah, they asked us to come here, so
Okay,
now
so
we're gonna
then-
go back there and they're gonna say, what happened with ZBA? And they said, we're gonna say it was
Say we're comfortable with
continued.
10
They may
feet.
forget who you are. It's been quite a while since September.
I mean, that's
Maybe
your
the
call, you're
board.
the applicant, but I would say if you
Well,
told
there
them-
was a continuation, we've been to ZBA twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Conservation
conservation
Yeah,
twice.
only been here
Conservation.
once.
And they
I
won't
remember
budget,
that
they won't give you a... if gave
They
you-
wanted to
if
see what,
gave
they
you-
wanted to see what you guys could do.
Well, they should give you the number, and then this board could see if they like it or not, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't give you any documentation when they asked us to come for your approval.
I think the
before.
number is 50.
Is that what they're gonna hold to?
Well, no.
I mean, our number's 25.
My engineer was telling me that that's a conservation guideline, not a regulation, but I don't know, maybe he's incorrect.
Maybe you should send him to the wolves.
Do you wanna go to that meeting and say that it's a
Bring
regulation
him in there,
guideline,
let
not a
him make that
regulation?
statement.
They got the thing now, they gotta buy it, so what the hell?
Well, that's the Fifth Amendment, I don't know if that
You gotta
actually
get-
works.
You gotta get the price high, right?
I don't know if that actually works,
It works.
if all use of the land is gone. They'll say you can ride horses there,
No.
there's a use.
You
No,
go fishing, there's plenty of water.
no fishing. All right, guys, have a good night, thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Next meeting is March 14th.
You want this back? That's probably your file. Oh, that's yours?
That's mine.
Oh, sorry.
Have the vote,
No,
just
Do I
continue,
have
just a
to
vote to continue.
A vote?
So we voted to continue.
Larry's taking notes, please.
That's just telling me we needed a boat.
Not that much water.
I don't know, that was out big, that was a lot of water.
All right, so if we don't have any other business, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Demers, seconded by Mr. Fitzpatrick to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 8:05.
Full of them.